Good day, everyone. It is Calxiyn here, and I am here to tell you all about the Queen's Court podcast, but I also want to give you guys a bit of a life update. I did try to script this. It just didn't feel right, so please bear with me and all my yapping. Like, I do have points, but, I have a lot to say, and so it's a little bit difficult. But if you're seeing this video, the first podcast is out right now, and that's why I'm here. But the podcast is not on this channel. Why? All of these questions and more will be answered. Anyway, and so we're going to talk about why we decided to bring the podcast back, what types of things that we want to do, why you should care, all that fun stuff. And there's a sneaky life update and maybe some YouTube behind the scenes secret stuff in between. If you're interested in making your own content, or if you're just curious, if you just have curiosity for life, I'll talk about what I've learned this year, basically. So in terms of restarting the podcast, this is like the most important part of the video. The reason why this has been on my mind for so long, and the core reason for me wanting to do this and driving Hunter crazy about wanting to do it again, is wanting a way to connect with all of you outside our specific coverage of particular things. And I'll explain that more in a minute, but the reason why the podcast is called The Queen's Court is because other than, the princess motif that I have on my channel, and I used to wear the little tiara before it gave me migraines all the time and whatever, is because I wanted to invoke that, like, this is where the ton comes to gossip, right? You bring your conflicts to the queen and she makes a decision, or the queens, right? Me and Hunter, and that sort of thing. Like, I wanted to invoke you are within the inner circle, and this is a bit more grounded and relaxed, and it's a different look at Hunter and I, where we're not just, screaming and crying about fictional characters all the time, though we will still, scream and cry a little bit sometimes. It's gonna be, I guess, different. Like, it's gonna be a different look at both of us. And in terms of what you can expect, there will be solo podcasts with Hunter, obviously, and then podcasts, I hope, with other guests. It would be fun to have the Ruby tubers on, maybe, I don't know, other people. Like, I used to have this idea of a podcast with my mom or something like that. I wrote that down, like, a long time ago, probably 3 years ago at this point. And so, yeah, so for the solo podcast, the reason why I'm doing that is because Hunter and I have very different ideas about what makes a good podcast. I like to listen to people talk, especially I guess VTubers, I guess you could say. I like to listen to VTubers talk to each other when they're not playing a specific game, right? Because a game is something that, even though I feel like that to some extent all gaming streams are just chatting, like, yes, you're focusing on the game, but depending on what kind of game it is, it's kind of like just chatting in disguise, right? The point is the live engagement with the audience, but, sometimes a game can filter me out because I'm like, well, I don't really like this game, I don't care about this game, right? And so a podcast is like a just chatting stream to me. And so it's a nice way to be able to engage with that streamer without being locked into something specific. So wait, why did I talk about that? Oh yeah, so the solo podcast thing is because, Hunter and I have a different idea. I like to listen to people yap because I like to yap, as I say. I don't know why I'm using that word. I hate that, by the way. When Arnold's like, I'm so sorry, Cal, I'm yapping. I'm like, no, I want to listen to you talk because I love you, right? Like, I don't know. Anyway, so it always bothers me when people say that. I don't know why I'm saying it about myself. No, I like to talk and you will listen because I have important things to say. Do not minimize yourself by saying that you're yapping. Anyway, so that's why I was saying Hunter and I have very different ideas. Like, Hunter wants to come in with like a bit, like with kind of like a gag. Something that she suggested was that she wants to do, for example, this AO3 guessing where she makes a bunch of fake AO3 summaries and titles and stuff, and then I have to guess what the real one is in compared to like the fake ones or whatever, like something like that. AO3 guessing, And so she wants a bit, whereas I'm okay with people just talking. And there are things that I want to talk about that Hunter's not okay with. We just have different levels of privacy that we want to maintain on the internet. Like, for example, I'm okay with talking about like relationship things. Hunter is not, and that's perfectly valid, that's okay, but I didn't want to be held back in some sort of way or like resent that. So I'm kind of taking inspiration from Pokimane because Pokimane is the only person I know, and also the only female content creator I know that does a podcast where it's just her talking and there are no guests. So I'm taking inspiration from that a little bit. But for Hunter, it was really important to have like a purpose. Like she didn't just want to read Am I the Asshole Reddit readings or something, and I don't want to do that either, but I was kind of going in with we will talk, and Hunter was like, no, we need a bit, right? And so we're kind of at the middle ground at this point. Oh my goodness, I just hit my own face right there. We're kind of at a middle ground between like talking and then also, because I was gonna have a plan, like I was gonna have an outline, but she wanted something a bit more concrete, I guess you could say. I don't know, it's hard to explain. You have to be there, so go watch it and you'll understand the compromise that we came to in terms of Hunter will be in charge of bits, whereas I am sort of in charge of finding very specific things to talk about and have an interesting conversation about instead of just shooting the shit. It's like shooting the shit with purpose. But you may be wondering, well, why can't these be main channel things? Because if you watched ahead or you saw the screenshot that I posted somewhere, you'll notice that we're talking about gaming, at least for the first podcast. We're talking about the Fields of Mystria versus Stardew Valley, and we're not actually talking about the games themselves, but we're talking about the concept of like plagiarism. And this game is a clone of another game, and why people care. Do people try to invoke some sort of artificial scarcity onto the things they like? Like you would think if you're a fan of something, you want more of it. So why are fans so overprotective of something that is similar? Like, wouldn't you want more good games to be inspired by the good game you already like? And so it's like fandom culture. We'll talk about that. So you may be wondering, like, okay, well, if it's all fandom culture and fan stuff, why can't it go on this channel, right? We've done tier lists before. We've done things like that. We've done things, you know, vaguely connected to gaming and anime, not about a specific show. So why can't those things live here? Why are they banished off into podcast land? And so a couple things with that, right? Firstly, I never meant for the podcast to get abandoned. So that's like the first thing is like, this was always supposed to happen. It just, you know, if you've been following me for the last 3 years, you'll know the latest degree I was adding to my dusty collection, right? Didn't help. I'm still unemployed, whatever. Yeah, like it put me through hell, my degree. And then I got that pandemic virus you may have heard just a little bit about. I don't know if you heard about it, but yeah, you may have. And then that was right after grad. And you guys have no idea what that does to you as a performer. Like that you're at the best that you've ever been because of school. And then you get that, a pandemic virus and you're fucked, right? In terms of your lungs and your breathing and your stamina and all the athleticness that you built just goes away because you got sick for 2 weeks. It's horrible. And then my grandfather passed away, which I talked about last year. And then I wasn't even done mourning yet, but I already had this trip planned and I couldn't cancel it without losing all the money. It's probably good I didn't cancel it because I think that did help, my mental state and everything. But, you know, still, I was whisked away on a trip that I couldn't cancel, and I didn't get to work through my feelings very much. And then I was in the US to stay with Arnold for a while, right? And so all of that in mind, it's been a whole year since I graduated, and that causes me a lot of anxiety because I'm like, well, the YouTube channels don't make enough money for me to live, but I'm also still unemployed despite looking. And so, like, there's 3 things you can be, right? You know, unemployed, broke, and sad. You can't be all of those things, okay? You can be employed and have money and be sad. Like, you can have 2 of those things, but not the third one, okay? You can be sad, but you need the employment and the money to be sad. You can be broke but happy. You guys understand what I'm saying? You can be broke and happy but unemployed. I don't know how that works, but, you know, some people, like, just go live in the mountains or whatever. Or you can be unemployed but not broke because your real job is a YouTuber or something. That's what I mean by employed. I mean, like, when I say unemployed and employed, I mean, like, by a real job. You know? So anyway, you guys understand what I'm saying, right? You can't be sad and broke and unemployed. You can be employed with money and sad. You can be unemployed with no money, but you're happy, and like there's a whole sort of, you know, a bunch of charts. And so you can't be all of those things. And so I feel, you know, a lot of anxiety about the fact that since I graduated, I haven't accomplished that much, or I feel like I haven't. You know, my friends will tell me that I have, but you have the second channel and it's doing so well, and like you've done so much, and you know, you've made better content than you have like ever, and like I really see the potential in this. You know, my friends are really encouraging me, especially in regards to the second channel. Like, no, you put in the work. It's like coming to fruition. I can see that one of your videos is gonna blow up like one day. Like, it's gonna happen soon, you know? My honest friends, like not the ones that are just lying to me, like they seriously believe this, right? So from their perspective, it does seem like that I've done a lot, but I have a lot of anxiety because I'm like, well, I graduated and I haven't gotten any jobs like my friends have, and there's just a lot of anxiety around that. I'm trying to get jobs with my other degree, like the not musical theater one. That's not going very well. I've applied for 20 jobs and I've gotten rejected from all of them, so that's great. So I'm not entirely happy with how much I've accomplished, right? But looking back, I also don't think that I could have done any more because I've only started processing all the things that happened right in the past 3 years right now. Like today, it's happening right now. And so that's kind of like the first thing is like life. That was my first point, was just life. Here it is. This is what happens. And now we're getting into kind of YouTube behind the scenes of it all, right? You'll notice that in the past couple months, I have been posting less and less on Calxiyn, right? And if you didn't know, I do have a second channel that is called Calxiyn Cares Too Much, and it has become a priority. I try to post there once a week, and it's a musical theater songwriting channel, right? And I found that despite the lower subscriber count, that channel is actually growing faster. It's making more revenue, which is, again, important in my pursuit of not being homeless. And it has a more engaged community per upload, even though I'm technically posting less. Like, there was a time on the Calxiyn channel where I was posting 1 video a day. Oh my goodness, I was posting a single video every single day, right? And it's not even diminishing returns, but it's like with one upload, the entire Calxiyn Cares Too Much channel people, they're all collected in one specific spot. It's like a stronger, you know what I mean? It's like a little dab of a hammer, I guess, right? Whereas like this is a big hammer, right? Like it's kind of a big event posting a long video essay on that channel versus just posting a reaction on this channel, even though like the workload just balances out differently. Anyway, that's like a whole thing. So it's not to disparage the audience or the community that we have on the Calxiyn channel. However, like I've always sort of known that this audience was very divided, right? Like some people only subscribe for Ruby, or Miraculous, or Has Been. We don't truly have 44,000 subscribers who will watch every single thing we upload. We have 44,000 people who come to us to fulfill different promises. At school, we call this like promises to the audience, right? And so I'd say maybe like a maximum of 1,000 people are just down for Hunter and I, and no matter what, like whatever we do. But I do notice that this gets better. For example, during Ruby season, if we post a Hunter and Cal, trans girl plays the CD-ROM game sort of thing, like those did better during Ruby season because Ruby viewers, even though they may not have been interested in the CD-ROM thing, the Ruby viewers were being suggested that video on their homepage, and they were like, well, I like Cal and Hunter, I like what they're doing right now, they're on my mind, so I will watch that, right? Here's the thing about, like, I guess how YouTube works, right? There's basically 2 avenues in order, like, to get views, right? There is search discovery. So if somebody types in Freerun episode 7 reaction, my reaction may pop up. That's a very specific thing. So that's like no matter how many views your video got, I guess, or even if you have like 1 subscriber and you don't have any audience, if people are searching for something specific, they can still find you, especially if you're the only person that's doing that thing. Right? So with Freerun, I wouldn't be the only person reacting to it if I had reacted to it months ago, but I'm probably the only person reacting to it right now. So people that watch Freerun content may be seeing that video right at the top of their search, even though it doesn't have the most views because it's the newest. Does that make sense? So there's search-based stuff, or people that look up like Ruby reactions and they watch our old Ruby reactions, right? And that's what we call like evergreen content, is content that, can always be searched up and people can always find it. It's not necessarily dependent on a trend. At the same time, though, a show is kind of trend dependent, in the sense that, like, people that already watched our Ruby reactions, unless they're feeling nostalgic, they won't go back. So a lot of our traffic during Ruby season comes sort of not from the search-based thing, but more on your homepage. Because they're watching a lot of Ruby content, we may end up as a Ruby reaction on their homepage. And so, like, there's basically search as in, like, forever, right? Somebody can forever search for this. And then there's also, like, trending. There's the idea that, like, Ruby or Has Been or whatever, the newest episode is trending right now, and so YouTube will serve that video to an audience that watches a lot of Ruby and Has Been content. And so if you watch our Ruby reactions every week, YouTube knows, right, when we post the next one, like clockwork, they should serve it to you right away on that Saturday because you've been here before. So it's like retreading old ground. So you have the search that's sort of like anybody can just find this if they type it into YouTube. But then you have the homepage, which sort of relies on like trending and then also the things that you've watched before, if that makes sense, right? And then in the middle, you have like this person has no audience situation, but they've made a video about something that is trending right now. And so this is how the Calxiyn Cares Too Much channel got monetized literally overnight, because I made a video about Wish. And at first, like, it wasn't enough to hit the monetization requirements, but then that video like blew up out of nowhere. Basically, I had posted this video about this is the thanks I get, and I was predicting like Notre Dame, right? Like, you know, Apollo gift of prophecy. I was predicting that the movie would fail based on the snippet that we heard of this song. So when the movie actually came out, and people were talking about how bad the songs were, right? People came back to my video and they were like, oh my God, she predicted this. How did she know that this was gonna happen, right? And so you have that sort of, it's like a feedback loop. And then I posted a second Wish video, right? Because I noticed that the first one was getting like a bunch of views. So I posted the second one, and then that video blew up too. Because what YouTube did is they were like, oh, you know, 80,000 people watched this is the thanks I'll get video from this person. What if we serve her second Wish video to that exact same audience? And then those people, a lot of them did come back. So that's kind of how YouTube works, right? It's not necessarily subscriber count that matters, even though it does in terms of influencing certain things, but YouTube serves your videos to an audience that will keep coming back, which is why you get a lot of advice to niche down. Because if you have a Genshin Impact channel and all you post, for example, is Genshin Impact, people will come back on a more consistent basis. So, but where subscribers kind of become a hindrance, I guess you could say, in terms of how many subscribers Hunter and I have, is that YouTube kind of makes an assumption that you, who like Has Been Hotel, will watch a free run video. And then when that doesn't work, YouTube is like, oh, this video sucks, right? This video sucks, and so it's bad. But it's not that it's bad, it's that the subscriber audience does not want to watch it. That video needs to be served to a new audience, right? But that's how subscribers can kind of hurt to some extent, because they can tank the click-through rate if they see a video on their homepage and then don't click on it. Now, after a while, if you ignore my free run videos, they will eventually go away for you, right? But that can hurt in sort of a short-term sense and everything like that. And so that's why the Calxiyn Cares Too Much channel kind of has a different like genetic makeup, if you want to call it that, because yes, like there is a fluctuation in terms of viewership. The Wish videos do better than a Barbie video, but there is a hardcore 3,000 subscriber, you know, or I guess I have 4,000 now, whatever. Like there's a home base of people that are like, we will watch anything Calxiyn puts out. That's why we subscribed to her, right? We subscribed because we will watch anything that she talks about in terms of musical theater. And everyone else are people that aren't subscribed and want specific things. You guys see where I'm going with this? But if you subscribe to this channel, especially because, you know, for reoccurring episodes, you wanted to get notified about something, it's kind of almost the opposite problem. Everybody that has subscribed to us, or most people anyway, it's like you're everyone that has ever watched anything that we've done. Not like to that extent. Obviously, there were people that still didn't subscribe, but like you subscribed for the specific thing, not to watch everything that we do. You wanted to get notified about that specific thing. And if that specific thing is over, what do you do? So it's like a completely opposite situation. You know, subscribers are supposed to help in terms of like getting a video seen and everything. But on our channel, it's actually worse. On our channel, the majority of views for things are from people that aren't subscribed, like for free run and stuff like that. Whereas on my main channel, or my side channel, I should say, the subscribers that are there help to elevate the video and push it out to new people. And so it's almost like on this channel, we're fighting the uphill battle. Anyway, I don't want this to be whiny, by the way. I don't want to be like, oh, my views, I'm complaining. I'm just trying to explain how it all works, because I don't think that people understand, like, the strategy of niching down, you know, is a good advice, like, but people kind of say it as if it's a hard and fast rule, but it's not. The thing is that there are channels that are still successful that do anime reaction and gaming reaction content, like, who comes to mind is Semblance of Sanity. They used to be Ruby Reactors, but they do anime now. But the thing is that they make sure to mix old shows with new shows and make sure to have shows that kind of have an interconnecting relationship with each oh my God, with each other. I'm so sorry. I want to get this done in one take, like I said. For example, they watch free run popular, free run get views, right? And then after free run is done, they can be like, well, if you liked free run, maybe you'll like Dungeon Meshi, right? And they can try to filter in. It's like a network. You'll see that Semblance of Sanity has a very big view disparity, you know, for certain things, right? But they have a baseline of people willing to support them. That's why they can kind of do whatever the fuck they want, because they have that baseline. The problem is that it's easier to kind of build the baseline in the niche first, keep serving the niche content, and then pivot to something else. So for the Calxiyn cares too much if suddenly, you know, I'm building up this very specific niche, like say all Wish videos, it's easier to kind of try to convert those people. And then if I started to post something, maybe pop music, let's just pretend that I had an interest in pop music. It's like, well, as long as I keep giving people the musical theater stuff, hopefully like they'll keep coming back anyway, so I can take a risk and do the pop, and maybe there'll be some overlap in that. The problem is that Hunter and I have nothing to serve you, right? We have nothing in terms of niching down. Nothing is happening. We're really waiting for Arcane Season 2 to come out. So all that to say, sorry, I know that was rambly and kind of messy and whatever, but I'm just gonna keep it, because at this point, like, this is the other thing I learned, is that it doesn't matter if it's perfect, you just gotta do it, and we gotta go. I can't waste any more time on this, because this is not a making money video, right? This is just a talking to you guys video. It's supposed to help, you know, explain what's going on and with the podcast, so it doesn't need to be perfect. You can't wait for everything to be perfect, just go. And so, again, not whining about views or anything, I'm just explaining that that's kind of what's happening here. And so the thing is that you can take risks when at least you're serving the baseline of your niche, right? But Hunter and I can't serve you anything because nothing is happening, right? We're going to try to react to Superman, I think that we said that we were going to say, but Arcane's not coming out, Ruby's not coming out, like all of this stuff that we used to react to isn't coming out. We need to wait for the next big thing, right? Start reacting to that big thing and then slowly introduce other videos into the ecosystem. That's how we've pivoted in the past, and that's what we need to wait for again. And I guess the other thing with that I've been thinking about is, like, we've been doing this. I've been doing this since I was 13. I'm 24 now. Hunter has been doing this with me since we were 16, right? And so I think that it's important not to get stagnant and not to feel confined to something. So that's another reason why I think the podcast is such a good idea, because why do we need to stay in this bubble? We're growing up. Maybe we can make something that's, I don't want to say more mature or whatever, but, like, you know, to grow with our audience, maybe a podcast will help. Maybe our audience doesn't care about anime and games anymore. There are stuffy adults in there, you know, they had to give away all those childish things. Like, it can help in that way too, for people that have grown out of the things that I still like. I still like these things. I will still be a child at heart forever, but it may help with that as well. And so why stay confined within the confines of this channel, which is, again, I think I said this before, maybe I said this in the other recording, Calxiyn is supposed to be a place for reaction content. Sometimes that reaction takes the form of news and theories and episode reactions and rewrites and other stuff, but at the heart of it, it's all reactions to the thing. It's our emotional reaction to the thing, as opposed to a news channel that covers a bunch of different type of news and stuff. And, like, that's the only thing they do is news, right? Like, news, to me, falls under the baseline of reactions when the news is about something that we care about, you know? It's reacting to the news. And so all of that to say, something that I've realized in terms of, you know, getting trapped in certain things and whatever, is that, like, YouTubers tend to have some sort of foundation before they build up to the level of quality that Hunter and I have tried to have, especially with Genshin Guessing and stuff, that, like, each part of Genshin Guessing took 30 hours, which means it took 90 hours to upload those three videos, right, and edit them and all that stuff, right? So YouTubers have a sort of foundation now. Like a gaming streamer, for example, they have their raw VODs, and then they have YouTube shorts and clips to counter or to get discoverability, right? And then maybe they'll do incredibly edited content if they have the time or funding to pay editors. And some people get into it backwards. Like, I know some gaming challenge YouTubers, right, that pre-recorded the high quality, you know, highly edited challenges first, and then people demanded that they stream. We want to be with you while you do the raw process, right? I'm thinking of Mr. Feet, if you guys can't tell, in terms of the Genshin videos. I think that he did the Genshin challenges first and eventually became more open to streaming, sorry. This is like its own mini podcast, like this is what you can expect he became more open to streaming when people demanded it, right? But the reason why huge YouTubers who started out with video content like pivot into streaming and podcasts and commentary is just because it's easier, right? And so I think that part of the other reason that Hunter and I are doing this is not because, oh, if we post the podcast here, it'll flop, right? Which is probably true. Like, I think the podcast does have the best shot on its own channel. But even if we did post it on this channel, the purpose of doing it, I guess you could say, is like, I feel like at least for me, I'm really burnt out by editing all this stuff, especially, again, 30 hours, 12 hours on one single video, that it doesn't end up being worth it. And even though I love it so much, something that I've learned is that people need to be interested in seeing your raw self, and only after that does that justify highly edited content. And obviously, you know, people don't want slop and like things with a bunch of mistakes and everything like that. But I think that there is some truth in that, because at the bare minimum, you need to provide value to your audience, and the value, like the baseline of that value, no matter what, no matter how much polish that goes into your videos, should be people interested in what you have to say. And that can be unedited mostly, unless you flub your words like I do sometimes, right? But it's like enough people need to be interested in watching the Hades live stream live before I spend 12 hours editing each part, you know what I mean? And so what I might do going forward, I was thinking about this, is with games that are not new. Oh, by the way, I've started uploading the VODs on the VOD channel. If you're here for Twisted Wonderland or Hades or anything like that, or Genshin or anything, it's not that I'm never going to edit those things again, but what I was thinking about doing was, let's say, I don't know, let's say, for example, I start playing Persona 4. Okay, so I will edit the first Persona 4 part in order to notify people that I'm streaming on Twitch and to give them a taste of what they can expect. But after that, it's probably going to have to be it, unless that video does leaps and bounds well. I'm just going to post it on the VOD channel, and then hopefully the VOD channel is not monetized yet. My plan is, let's get the VOD channel monetized with that raw, authentic self. Let's get the podcast channel monetized. Let's make some clips, right, that have that discoverability and all of that sort of stuff, right? And so it's almost like starting from the ground up again, and then making sure that if you subscribe to the podcast channel, please don't subscribe unless you're gonna watch them, okay? We don't need another situation like how this channel has. I wanted to notify the people that care. I'm assuming if you've gotten this far, you do, right? So please only subscribe if you want, if you were gonna watch it, because that's, we need to start over again with that baseline, monetize that baseline, and then maybe, like, the situation can become a little different. But to jump to the top of, like, making the highly edited content, like, I think that that's kind of Hunter and I's mistake, because when Ruby was happening, if you think about our first Ruby analysis and reaction and all of that stuff, they were bad, right? Like, especially the ones where we were doing the analysis playing Grim Eclipse, and that had like horrible thumbnails that were just like a screenshot of the episode and didn't tell you anything about us and who we were. Like, they were bad. But the reason why people watch them is because, despite not having all the bells and whistles and everything, like, there's a bunch of these pillars, and now, again, I can't remember what I've already said because I tried to record this once, but I was yapping too much, and now I've yapped for the same amount of time, so it doesn't matter, but I think this one is better, so I'll post this one. So you have a bunch of different pillars to fulfill, right? You can get away with not editing very much, right? If the pillar you're fulfilling is something like urgency, in terms of, like, you are the first person that uploaded your Ruby reaction, no matter how, like, low quality it is, like, you are the only one, you are the only hope, right? And then, like, the urgency, and then being that place where the community can talk about it right away, and then the value just in people's thoughts, because even though I think the videos were bad, I hope that our thoughts were good and unique and all that stuff. So, you know, when you make a YouTube channel, you have to consider the value you're providing. And yes, like, somebody's time is important, and that's why I try not to post unedited things on this channel. That's why I regulated the unedited stuff to the VOD channel, because I don't like the idea of posting unedited VODs where I'm grinding in a game on this channel. You know what I mean? I want this channel to be a bit more high quality and whatever, right? But quality can sometimes be negotiated in terms of if you've gotten this far and you're watching this video right now, because maybe what I'm saying is interesting enough and you wanted to know some YouTube stuff and listen to me talk for 30 minutes or whatever. And so all of that to say, I think that Hunter and I, at some point, kind of lost the baseline, which was just us talking with very minimal editing, but being timely. And as I said before, it's not that Hunter and I are going away or that we're giving up, but we need to wait for the opportunity to be timely, to do it quickly, to get our thoughts out fast, and it doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs to be fast, and our thoughts need to be good. Not the editing, not like, you know, making a million cuts or zoom-ins or making it super funny or anything. It just needs to, like, if something comes out that is as big as, like, I don't know, Has Been Hotel, like, I really would have done Has Been Hotel differently, a little differently in hindsight. But also the way the episodes were releasing, that was a little difficult. Yeah, so that's not my fault. I won't take responsibility for that. But, like, we just need to wait. We're just waiting for the time to strike, and, like, now there's nothing to strike, right? And so I think that it's good to try to build up, you know, these channels that kind of have the raw baseline of ourselves, even with a smaller audience there. And then those smaller audiences will help to facilitate edited content in the future. That's the other thing, right? Like, with people like Arnold that have Genshin Impact channel and, like, edit all the parts of his playthrough, he has editors, but the reason why he was able to have editors was because Twitch was able to facilitate having those editors. You guys understand what I mean? And so I think that what I've learned over this year, all of this to say, is that I think I kind of lost the forest for the trees here, right? I was putting out, you know, this content that took 90 hours, right? 30 hours, 12 hours, and all of that stuff without considering that despite, like, effort does not exactly equal success sometimes. What Hunter and I should have been focusing on was capitalizing on shows that were coming out, like, again, Freerin. I'm sorry that I didn't react to it sooner. And now we're in this position where, well, nothing's coming out now, so what do? Nothing, I guess. Nothing, I guess, until something comes out. So we're not leaving. We will be back when something happens, but I can't really see something happening until Arcane is, like, the sad sort of reality of this situation, is that I don't think that anything's gonna happen until Arcane, right? And so, yeah, like, that's just all I wanted to talk about, right? So I hope that this podcast may help to fulfill some things, because it's on a new channel, which means it doesn't have the baggage of this channel. We're talking about, well, today anyway, when you guys are seeing this, we're talking about something recent, like the Fields of Mysteria Stardew thing, but it's also evergreen because it's not just about the controversy, it's about, again, fandom culture and stuff in general. And I did write this down in my script, so I guess this is the last thing I want to say. The ultimate arrogance of a YouTuber is thinking that what you are doing or saying has value. And I do believe, I guess, after all this introspection, that our value doesn't have to lie in how much editing that we put in, but it can be found in simplicity. Like, there's value in what we say in of itself. And so I hope that you guys will see that in the future podcast episodes. I hope you guys will see that in the gaming VODs. I hope you guys will see that when my VTuber project launches. And so, again, Hunter and I are not leaving, right? The channel is not dead. We're not dying. It's just that we're doing other things, other places that have more staying power at the moment, like the musical theater songwriting channel. And so I hope that this helped to clarify some things. I know I've been talking a lot, and I imagine that some of it was slightly confusing. However, like I said, it doesn't need to be perfect. I just need to upload it. And so that's going to be kind of my mentality for now on for some things, right? I just want to touch base with you guys. Why does that need to be perfect? Why does that need to be highly edited? I just wanted to connect with you guys and explain what was going on, because I miss you guys, and that's why I wanted to do the podcast. So, you know, why do I need to stress myself out? If you guys want to hear from me, you'll hear from me. This is hearing from me in the rawest form possible. So anyway, I hope that you guys enjoyed. Hope that you guys had fun, I guess. I don't know. But I will see you next time. Please check out the podcast, but only if you will actually listen. Do not subscribe just to try to help me or whatever. But if you like it and share it with your friends and word of mouth and all of that stuff helps. Also, the VOD channel. I'm sorry, I should have talked about that. The VOD channel exists. I'm posting on it. And so hopefully that'll work out too. But yeah, so not going away. It's just we're just waiting for something to happen. I will see you guys later. Bye, guys.